All right, so we're going to skip down from there and go down to our 9 o'clock. And our first case here is, or I'm sorry, our next case is People versus Robert Cole. This is going to be case number 26-3663. FH. Appearances, please.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Attorney Robert Ringstrom, the Assistant Prosecutor from Missaukee County.
May it please court, Robert Champion appearing on behalf of Robert Cole, who is seated to my left, Your Honor.
All right, thank you very much. Also here this morning is Ms. Laura Odell. She's an agent from the Michigan Department of Corrections who was here today and helped prepare the pre-sentence investigation report for us. I have received that report. We're here for sentencing, and there is a Killebrew agreement regarding the sentence. Oh, okay. We'll go over that in a moment. Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Looks like we had a conviction date, the plea taken back on February 27th of this year. Let me take a look here to see if I have any corrections or noted any corrections. I myself did not note any correction. However, I do think we need, is there an update that we need to do for custody? Let's take a look.
Your insurance.
Yeah, it's pretrial credit. So we need to turn our attention to CFJ 145, page 2, and that's underneath the jail credit. The defendant initially was in jail from January 20th of this year through March 18th of this year. The bond was modified to release him to the K-PrEP program down in Kalamazoo, as I think one of our first people to help send him down there. However, if I recall, we terminated the bond because he was unsuccessfully discharged from that program on March 26th. Or 25th, sorry, thank you. And then we would get credit, although he'll get credit obviously for anything today, that credit would carry through until April 25th, which was yesterday. So Ms. Odell, did you get that?
Yes, sure. Well, I have, Your Honor, I have, he came back to jail on 3/25, and then up to today would be 12 days, up to and not including today.
Yeah, perfect. So that gives us actually a round number of 70 days of credit. All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Ringstrom, any amendments, corrections, or objections to make to the contents of the report?
That was the only amendment, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Champion?
The same, Your Honor. Other than what's in place on the record, there's no additional corrections.
All right, great. Thank you. One moment. Okay. All right. Mr. Ringstrom, do we have any statement to be made by a victim in the file?
Your Honor, we had sent out letters. I don't see the victim here.
All right, good enough. Thank you. I'll just go ahead and start with Mr. Ringstrom. What's your allocution, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. I'll try and keep it brief. I know that this court probably doesn't know the whole Cole family as much as we do. They stay in juvenile court and district court an awful lot. I believe this is probably the first time this court really had anything to do with them. As a whole, there is a lot of issues with the family, and I know Robert Cole had an awful lot of challenges when as a juvenile and growing up with a family and stuff like that. This incident actually, Robert Cole had a place that he was able to stay, and his mom and brother kind of followed him to that place. That doesn't excuse his actions at all, but it was one of those situations where that was Robert Cole. Unfortunately, has had a stint being homeless and being outside in the cold and things like that as well. We were looking for a solution for him to be able to join a program that could wind up making it so that he could improve his life. Unfortunately, he really squandered that an awful lot. Through everything that I hear, he didn't even make an attempt at the place. which that disappoints me a lot. So therefore, we're here now for the sentencing at this point in time. We'll leave it up to the court as far as its discretion. But if Mr. Cole has kind of given up and not even trying, I don't know where we go from there.
Mr. Champion.
Yeah, I've known Robert here for a few years. We've been dealing with his chaotic lifestyle and family life for quite some time. The first thing that Robert said to me when he came back from KPEP, he apologized for, in essence, letting me down because he understood what was at stake in this matter. Unfortunately, he does suffer and has for most of his life from mental illness. He's currently not receiving that treatment, and that results, plus the upbringing of being in such a chaotic lifestyle, his inability to follow the rather firm and set rules of KPEP in this matter. With that, I see his guidelines are 0 to 9 months. He's spent considerable time in this matter. I would ask the court to consider time served with a term of probation. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Mr. Cole, we're at an opportunity where you have the right, or we're at the time where you have the opportunity to make a statement if you choose to do so. Is there anything you wish to say?
No, Your Honor.
I'm going to ask you some questions here. What's going on?
There's a lot of stuff that's been going on the past few months.
The past few months you've been with us.
Yeah, just things with my family.
What kinds of things are going on with you that are causing you to act out?
I don't really want to get into it, sir.
Okay. Well, what are you going to do about it?
Try to avoid them.
Well, I'm at a point now where I can either just start going through the pre-sentence investigation report, identifying things that is going to make it sound very negative, but of course I have to do that because the appellate courts direct this court to say all the possible reasons and grounds for the sentence. At the same time, Mr. Cole, because even though I'm sitting up a couple feet higher and wearing a black robe, I care. I want to figure out what the heck's going on with you and put you in the right places, give you the right opportunities to help fix this path. But if you don't want to talk about it, by the way, I can make you talk about it, but I also don't want to make it worse. But I'm also going to say, well, I don't know if I need to make you talk about it because you've had a lot of opportunities to talk about it. We sent you down to the KPEP program and you're the first person we tried to do that with to see how it worked. I see that you've had several stints. You've been to the Lincoln Center for Residential Programming in 2023. You went to Bear River Health in 2024, but you left that program unsuccessful. We've sent to the KPEP program unsuccessfully. There have been several attempts to send you into other places to receive treatment, specifically regarding mental health. And here we are with you at an age of 20, where you've got a very significant criminal history, both as a juvenile and an adult. What's the system not doing for you?
Nothing, Your Honor. I pretty much missed all my opportunities.
No, you haven't missed all of them. You're still sitting there. Right? You're still sitting there and you're 20 years of age. You have failed to take advantage and succeed in all the prior opportunities, but you have not squandered all of your opportunities. So I say that to you to highlight it. So maybe straighten up and realize it, think about it. So here I've got to cover a lot of things, and I'm sorry, it sounds like I'm beating up on somebody. This is one of the things where I don't like it, but the law says I have to say them all, or they're going to appeal it and come back and say, Judge, you didn't say enough. So here they go. You have struggled with controlled substances. Marijuana for daily for 10 years, according to this report. Well, that's going to set you up for failure. So, methamphetamine a couple times a week over the last 4 years, amphetamines for the last 5 years, occasionally LSD, but that was only for about a year. So, those things aren't helping you. And they are going to, if you continue to use them, keep you on the path that is going in a wrong direction. I look at your criminal history here, and it began as a juvenile, 2018. Started off with an act of violence. You failed to comply with your probationary terms multiple times, skipping classes, testing positive for marijuana, sanctions at a youth home. That didn't work well for you. You got one case after that dismissed. Looks like the court and the prosecutor were kind to you. I don't know exactly what happened, but I'll note that it was while you were on probation for the previous file, but it was dismissed. So I'll take, I don't count that. However, in 2020, 8 months after you're off for probation, you picked up more acts of violence. And once again, you performed horribly on probation, multiple violations. And those started within 2 months of being sentenced. Well, just a couple months later, within that, you actually picked up some new charges of malicious destruction of property. Some more acts of, I would call it, violence. And you were violating your probation almost immediately. Number 5, that one was dismissed. Number 6, so it's 7 months after being done with that last case, more acts of violence, domestic violence, and your performance on probation and bond was terrible. You continue to use marijuana, violate program or rules at programs. This one in the Roscommon Detention Center. Another one, actually, you were in 2. You were in Portage also. And then a third one, all underneath that same file. That one was in Ottawa, and you absconded. Next case was dismissed. Next case was dismissed. And then you come down to the 9th case here. This one was in Dearborn, and it was almost immediately after being removed from the Ottawa home. Oh, actually, you were still on probation for that last case. And so this one was an assault, resist, destructive police officer. So that's either an act of violence or an act of lack of compliance. And then at the same time, you picked up a conviction for marijuana, or a juvenile adjudication for marijuana. While you were on bond for one of those cases, you picked up your first adult case, domestic violence, and interfering with the communication device, which means obviously it was an attempt over to take away somebody's phone. That sentencing was done in December, and you made it 2 weeks on probation before you picked up possession of meth. After that case was done, you made it 4 months before you picked up your next domestic violence case. That was just last year on June 12th, 2025. You got 6 months of probation. You made it 2 months into that period. And you got a disorderly person case over in district court in Wexford County. And then along comes this case. This one's 3 months off of probation. And here you failed to comply with your terms and conditions of bond as we've discussed. So I'm no longer required to follow the Killebrew agreement, which means the sentence I'm about to give, you cannot withdraw. Ms. Odell, and the longest period of time for probation that I can give for a felony is
2 years.
for felony probation.
Well, it's up to 5,
There we go.
up to 5, Your Honor.
The court, therefore, is very concerned because every effort of short bonds, short probations, short periods of jail, rehab programs. I've seen that you've been to, I think if I lost count, but I think it was at least 6 or 7 detention programs. And hospitalizations, things everybody. So while I feel for you, I take a different approach. It's going to push me higher than what's recommended, because everything here tells me that I've got reasonable grounds to give a jail sentence, even though there's an intermediate sanction cell. And I think everything I've covered demonstrates reasonable grounds. And the fact here, there was a fight and punched a brother several times in the head, a Pitbull involved attacking both of you guys, and that it's repetitive acts of domestic violence. I can't imagine anybody trying to suggest or argue later on that there's any lack of proportionality, because every other case involving you has just generally been involved of violence. The court places you on a period of probation for 60 months. I'm going to monitor you until you're 26 years of age, or 25. Depends, I forget exactly when you turn 20 or 21, but I'm going to make it 60 months. I'm going to watch everything you do. The court adopts the terms and conditions that are listed in this PSI report on pages 2 and 3. That includes specifically, you're not to use alcohol, you're not to use any other intoxicants or controlled substances. That includes marijuana. Obviously it includes methamphetamine. Obviously it includes LSD. It includes everything. And since you're under 21, you shouldn't be using anyone anyways. And trust me, you do not want to test positive for marijuana when you leave here. The court also highlights the curfew, 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. The court also highlights specifically drug rehab and treatment, inpatient, outpatient, residential programming, alcohol testing, mental health treatment, domestic violence and battery intervention classes. Whatever they can do to get you into treatment programs, I want them to spend the time and the money on you. You will have the right to be considered for early release from your probation at half that if you are successful and compliant with the terms and conditions of your probation. The court assesses a $68 state minimum fee, $130 crime victims' right fund fee, a $300 court cost, a $500 fine, a $300 attorney fee for the processing of this case, and all the efforts taken by everybody to help get you the assistance you needed. We do not need to do a DNA fee, as that was already available. Supervision fees are $30 a month or $60 a month if there's any electronic monitoring. And Ms. Odell, because I've seen a couple AWOLs and abscondings in his past, he might need electronic monitoring. Now, as for a period of confinement, I sit here and I look and I say, well, I've got to be worried, even though at all the judges conferences, they say, don't be worried about what the appellate courts are going to do. Well, if I go above 9 months, I exceed the guidelines. But I think, and I look back at the past and I see everyone else trying for you, sir. And I don't see you trying for yourself maybe enough. There's no employment history. So nothing else has worked. These guidelines are ineffective. They do not take into consideration all this content. It allows scoring for prior records, but it doesn't allow for scoring of all the other efforts and the bad choices made. Therefore, I sentence you to 300 days in jail, which is toward the top, and I'm going to give the defendant 70 days of credit, which is what he has earned. In the meantime, Ms. Odell, I want him to sit there and serve it, because I don't think we need to take another break and send him to get another program, right? But when he gets out, I'd love to see him in a program, but he's going to start serving all the time the judges give him. He's going to serve it when I give it to him. I find that sentence is reasonable and proportionate considering all the factors I've discussed today over the last 20 minutes. All right, Mr. Champion is bringing to me a copy of your appellate right form. It's got your initials on it. It tells me you've gone over it, but I still need to cover it with you. You have the right to appeal the conviction and sentence in your case. That is typically done by filing a claim of right to appeal. However, based upon the plea in this case, any appeal must be done by filing an application for leave to appeal. Now, if you choose to file an application for leave to appeal and you want the court to appoint an attorney to assist you, you may complete the bottom half of that document and return to the court within 42 days. If you choose not to appeal, you may simply dispose of your copy of the document. Again, I've already gotten a copy with your initials on it. So, Mr. Cole, I prefaced everything I said by saying I hate the fact that I've got to say all the negative things. It's other people who make me say them. Because if I don't, then it's just going to be kicked back. So, but I also say them to highlight this. You are the only person in charge of you. You can keep blaming the bad things in the past, and I understand how they're going to stick with you. But there's only one human being in this world, at least one human being that walks this earth, who's in charge of you. And I'm going to say, I really, really personally hope and professionally hope that you figure this out and that you start to make good choices. But there's a reason. Why do you think I've got probation for 60 months? Because if you violate, where are you going to go?
Sure.
Prison. I'm going to supervise you. And if you come back here and you violate probation 4 times on technicals, that means I can get you up to 345 days. For the fourth, I'm sorry, that's for 3. The 4th one, or if you commit any offense, drive without a license, another fight, I will no longer be limited to the sliding scale of punishments for probation.
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to tell you, there's one place where they've got great rehab, medical health care, will help you get your GED. And by the way, Ms. Odell, I think that was in there, right? He's got to work on it, getting his GED.
It's not, but it will be.
Yeah, make sure it's on there. All right. Now, I'm not saying that because I want to. I'm saying that because I hope you go, man, that judge seemed like he was serious. Because this judge is. And I don't want to send you there. So my chance of going to 300 days gives me a little bit of cushion. If I went with 365, it would have taken 1 marijuana test to get you to prison. Now, I don't want you going there. I really want you to get out. Miss Odell is gonna become like an aunt. All right, and I'm gonna be the big bad uncle, and we wanna make sure that we get you through here, because the best thing for me is in 2.5 years, I'll let you off of probation, and boom, and you're doing great. All right, anything else, Miss Odell?
No, Your Honor, just that, the conditions as outlined for the Killebrew agreement included KPAP, so I'll just remove that condition.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Ringster?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Champion?
No, Your Honor.
I sincerely mean this, Mr. Cole. Good luck.
You know,
Right out of the plan. We're adjourned. All right, our next case is gonna be.